What's up, Speak For Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak For Yourself.
Welcome to Speak For Yourself. Marcellus Wiley here, still on IR, but hey, still got a game to play. Whoa! Be proud of my brother. Emmanuel Acho. What's going on, brother?
Sal, I got dressed for school because I got to teach some lessons today, big dog.
Whoa, look at him. Okay, let's get it started in Tampa, where Bruce Arians won his first Super Bowl as a head coach. But he had help on his coaching staff. Offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, my boy and former teammate, led a Bucs offense that averaged nearly 34 points a game during their 8-game winning streak to close out the season. On the other side, defensive coordinator Todd Bowles' defense held the high-powered Chiefs to only 9 points. Over the last 4 head coaching cycles, there have been 27 openings and only 3 black men became head coaches. So, Acho, my brother, is the Bucs Super Bowl a win for black coaches?
Literally, yes. Obviously, it was a win for several black coaches, particularly the 3 black coordinators on the Bucs staff. But I got to dive deep into this. So, you and I have yet to talk about the coaching disparity in the NFL. Right? Because I feel like you and I pick and choose the proper times to assess subject matters like this. And I always want to do all my homework because I would rather be right than be first.
Yes.
I'd rather be right than be first. That's just my mantra. So is it a win for black coaches? Literally, yes, but in reality, no. I say it like this. If qualifications aren't what's keeping black coaches from being head coaches, then an increased qualification will not make a black coach a head coach. Because the limiting reactant for black coaches becoming head coaches is not a matter of qualifications. So winning a Super Bowl as a black assistant coach will not help you become a head coach. So what are the limiting reactants for black head coaches? I would say this. The NFL is a copycat league. There were 7 coaching vacancies, head coaching vacancies this offseason. 2 were filled by defensive minds. Why? Not because there's a prejudice against defensive coordinators, but rather it's a copycat league. Who was in the Super Bowl? Andy Reid, offensive mind. Bruce Arians, offensive mind. Who has been to Super Bowls in years past? Young Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, young white offensive mind. So who gets hired this time around? Nick Sirianni, 39-year-old offensive mind. Who gets hired this time around? The majority that gets hired are these young offensive minds because the NFL is a copycat league. But now it's time to dive deep on my first layer, and now trust me, please, y'all trust me. I got layers for y'all. The other thing with this NFL is familiarity. So you know this. You know, you got to rub shoulders. You got to go play golf with some guys, get drinks with some guys. There's a lack of familiarity at times when you're talking about the average head coach is 50 years old. If you're a 50-year-old head coach, going to dinner with the 68-year-old owner, average owner, 68 years old, who's hiring you, and y'all are talking about growing up and, you know, your parents growing up and the lessons that they instilled in you, there's a disconnect. Like there's a familial disconnect. There's a life experience disconnect. There is a disconnect amongst the peer group as to you don't necessarily hire the most talented or the most qualified. You hire the person you're most familiar with. And that's what we've seen over the course of the NFL. So I got a lot of places I'm going to go, Sal, but early on it's very simple. Was the Bucs winning a win for black coaches? Yes, those black coaches. But in reality, we're not going to see that translate.
Strong first lap, big dog. And I know we got about 10 more in us. I see the bow tie. We're going to go there. Is this a win for black coaches? No. Now, to be clear, it doesn't hurt black coaches in their case going forward, but I also don't think that it helps as much as people would like it to help. Nothing's profound in the statement that a black man can coach. Nothing's profound to see 2 coordinators, let's make it 3 coordinators, including special teams coordinators, can coach, can be successful, can win a Super Bowl as a coordinator. So since that's not profound, what is profound? Because we already know that they're capable. We already know that black coaches can win a Super Bowl. We already know black coaches can coach as coordinators in the Super Bowl and win. What's profound is the problem isn't black coaches and their resumes. It's black coaches and their relationships. Now, a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but I do, because it's about the relationships and resumes. Now, in that balancing act of which one do you lean into, you have to strike the proper balance. No one knows the proper balance until you see the end result, because being hired is a subjective experience. There's no scoreboard on why I'm going to hire you. I could look at why I'm sitting in this chair right now, and it was a blend of resume and relationships. Think about this. I wasn't the best defensive end in the world. Had a couple years where they were talking about me as a top defensive end, but I retired as a guy in the middle of the pack, maybe at the top of the middle of the pack. But I had relationships. Oh, big dog, did I have relationships. I was never the guy that was thwarted by big business NFL. I would talk to a reporter like he was my best friend from hello. From day one. And they used to come up to me all the time, walking past superstars to talk to the lesser Marcellus Wiley, because I had a relationship with them. Relationships and resumes matter for Acho. How did you get here, Acho? Fast track, man. Not only did you have a relationship with some of the executives here, but you also had a relationship with me before we even did this show.
Yes, sir.
And then you had the resume. You're a professional football player. You went to a big college program. You knew the game. You paid your dues. Too many of us are not understanding that balancing act of
Who's us?
Black players transitioning to become black coaches,
Yes,
or those ambitious enough not even to be professional athletes as a black player that want to become a black coach. We got to learn a better formula for that balancing act in terms of relationships and resumes. Now, here's the issue that goes on all the time. In our situation, a lot of times it's a compliment when I was growing up to graduate college. Everybody's like, Marcellus is the one who graduated from Columbia, oh my God. And I look around my entire family and not a single soul had graduated college. So I felt that compliment, but I also flipped it on its head and I realized that's not good. Because last time I heard, you never want to be the smartest in the room. Think about that. So not only now am I deemed the smartest just because I graduated, which I don't know if I'm the smartest, but I'm also now head of households, because I'm the breadwinner. You never want to be the richest one in the room either. You know why, Acho? Because it gets to a place where you want to be promoted. You want to be around those who are surrounding you that can elevate you in every aspect of your life. Now, what's happening in our culture a lot of times is we take the compliment and that's enough. I'm the one, I'm the end game. But in the world, in the real world, people understand that you need stepping stones. You are good friends with Oprah Winfrey. Was that a help to you in your resume? Was that a boost? Was that fuel injection? Look at me. I am a guy who got a boost from a guy by Rob Klingensmith. He used to be the president of Paramount Pictures. I look at Brian Flores, who got a boost from Bill Belichick. All I'm telling guys is when you're really looking to get that promotion, make sure you're in a room of promoters, not being the ultimate end-game promoter yourself.
That's a great point. But now we have to dive into the devil that lies within those details. Because the issue with the lack of black head coaches is really twofold. It is, like Marcellus said, it's relational is where it primarily starts, so we got to start there. There's current fractures in relationships, I would say, between white management and black head coaches. But they're also, I look at the lineage of the fracture in relationships. Let me go here. The issue, in my opinion, is not that the NFL owners are racist and don't like black people, right? I think that's ignorant. I think it might be the side effect of being black. What do I mean? When I was playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, 2014, I got a call about an individual which Marcellus and I both know well. A reporter called me and said, Emmanuel, is Chip Kelly racist? I said, huh? Chip Kelly, head coach at the time. I said, why in the world would you ask me if Chip Kelly's racist? And then I remembered, Chip Kelly traded away LaShawn McCoy. He traded away Deshaun Jackson. He didn't re-sign Jeremy Maclin. Our 3-star black players Chip Kelly had all shipped off. Meanwhile, Riley Cooper, a white receiver who would utter the N-word, he had signed a 5-year, $25 million deal. We traded away LaShawn McCoy for a linebacker, white by looks and Keeks. And I'm like, no, Chip ain't racist.
Right.
I said, oh. But Chip Kelly does gravitate towards characteristics and attributes that are typically exuded amongst white people in the locker room. So it played itself out as looking racist. So I got it. I was like, I understand why you're asking me that question. Chip ain't racist. I've seen the man every day for 3 years.
Yeah.
But he made decisions based upon attributes that you see from a people group. Why am I bringing this up, Marcellus Wiley? Because I don't think it's a matter of NFL owners being racist, but who are you familiar with? Let's give an example. Head coach, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, just won the Super Bowl. Bruce Arians went to Virginia Tech. He was the first white player to have a black roommate. It is not a coincidence that head coach Bruce Arians has a head coaching staff with an offensive coordinator that's black, a defensive coordinator that's black, a special teams coach that's black. He was in his most permeable years being the first person to have a black roommate at Virginia Tech. Contrast that, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, a captain at Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken, 4 years before the Arkansas football team was even integrated. So now when you look at Jerry Jones, he's hired 8 head coaches in his tenure. All 8 have been white. He's had 21 coordinators in his tenure, offensive and defensive. Only 2 have been black. So 2 out of 29 total head coaches and coordinating positions for Jerry Jones and his Cowboys have been black. 2 out of 29. I don't think it's coincidence that Bruce Arians, the coach who had a black roommate, the first, has a coaching staff that's historical, nor do I think it's coincidence that Jerry Jones has had 2 black coordinators and coaches out of 29, because it's a matter of relationships. It's a matter of familiarity. And I think historically, some of those relationships and some of that familiarity has had obstacles, obviously, in front of it.
Man. There's so many places to go. You're like, which end of the pool you want to dive into? Yeah, man, it's time to get our hair messed up. Dive in the deep end with this one. Because about the black coaching experience anymore. We know that they're qualified. We know that there are great black coaches and there are sorry black coaches, just like white coaches. But what's elusive in the statement is the lack of opportunities for that same black man to become a head coach. I support that with the fact that offensive coordinators to coach in the Super Bowl since 2016. I give you Kyle Shanahan. Did he become a head coach?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Josh McDaniels for 3 years. Did he become a head coach?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Frank Reich. Did he become a head coach?
Sir.
Yes. Now let's continue down the timeline. Eric Bieniemy. No.
Yes, sir.
Byron Leftwich just this year. No. And it's interesting.
Dang, is that chronological order you just gave?
Yeah, I just gave you chronological order since 2016. Okay, let's go a little further back because I don't want to be the guy that's just slicing it towards effect. Since 2000, there have been 3 coaches that have been offered a job that are black and 4 that weren't as coordinators of winning Super Bowl teams. Almost split in the middle. So that's why I'm talking about a scoreboard that you can't see. I'm talking about a blend of relationships and resume. When you look at these relationships, how do you build them? Nepotism. Woo, kind of tough for you brothers.
Real.
Look, I'm just gonna give you my experience. I'm the richest in my family, and that's with an accumulation of adding up my whole family's aggregate income in their entire lives. I have made more than everybody in my family added up. I have. It's just fact. I'm sorry. But then I looked at that, I was like, that's not going to fully benefit me. Maybe the ego gets stroked. Maybe you can see the progress, but that's not going to benefit me. So I must surround myself, no matter what color, with people that could be promotional in terms of my growth. Because I can't be there as the end-all, be-all and expect more growth. What happens is you also got to look at that not just by education, not by just financial status, but you got to also look at it in terms of who's your guardian angel. Okay? You got to create a situation where your guardian angel has that power to elevate you. But if you're the one who's asked to always elevate others, then that growth will be undermined. Here's the thing that I've noticed in a lot of these situations. What are the gatekeepers? I hear people call gatekeepers, like people who keep things in and things out. And people say, well, who's going to look out for you? The guardian angel, as I just talked about. And it's funny when you look at it all in totality, Acho, This notion of equality and fairness is, I think, something that is really running a trick on a lot of young, aspiring coaches, just to be specific here. What I'm saying is, dog, this life is not fair. Bigger, faster, stronger does not mean better. You know what it means in the coaching ranks? Because you're more qualified doesn't mean you're going to be in front of the line. You got to also respect that there's going to be someone behind you, no matter what the color is, that may leapfrog you. And it's the same thing that you got to understand when it comes to fairness. The equality and fairness, the hybrid of those two is what I think tricks a lot of people. Why did he get the job but not me? But you never hear the dive into the details of why. Did you have that relationship?
Correct.
Did you have that cohesion? Because then the cronyism kicks in and it becomes a whole different ballgame.
Let's go there.
Let's go.
Because it really comes down to this. You said somebody, regardless of color, gets in front of the line. Now, I would say studies or statistics rather show that the person that jumps in front of the line is probably the white person, not the black person. But let's talk about the why. Because we can always talk about the how, but we got to talk about the why.
Love it.
Before Brandon Staley, current head coach for the Chargers, was given that head coaching job, everyone was saying it might be Brian Daboll to become the head coach of the Chargers. Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. Now, why were they saying that? They said that because the general manager for the Chargers, Marcellus Thomas Telesco, I'm sure you know the name. I'm sure you know
my
the person,
guy.
He went to high school with Brian Daboll. Now, the question becomes, if you are the 50-year-old head coach on average, were you going to high school with, and you're black, were you going to high school with current general managers?
No.
More than likely, based upon our society, no. The issue is not necessarily being black, it's the side effects of being black. Marcellus Wiley, did you go to high school with any current NFL general managers?
No.
I doubt you did.
No.
I doubt you did.
No.
And it's just a matter of where was our society in the 70s, in the 80s? Where was our society in the 60s? So everybody wants to say, please stop talking about race. It's not a race issue. Everything is equal now. Don't hire somebody predicated upon race. But you have to remember, there are lingering effects of 60s, 70s, 80s. Because if general managers who were in high school in the 70s and the 80s are hiring their friends, well, back in the 70s and 80s, there was not nearly as much integration. Just look at when integration became a thing, 54, Brown versus Board, or when discrimination was federally outlawed in private schools in 76. 76. When were you in, well, you was born in the 70s. But like,
I was about to say, what?
but like, bro, 76.
Hey, man.
So
I was here.
we're seeing the effects nowadays. I don't think it is a you are racist issue, no. But I do think it is a side effects of the country's racism, and that is what's manifesting itself at times, if you really dive into the detail.
I'm glad you added at times, because
of course, I never speak in totality.
I respect that.
Can't do it.
Man, look at here. There are some innate attributes and qualities that come just built into this hiring process. But I would lend myself to say that there are more based on choices.
Okay.
You asked me, did I go to high school with any general managers? And I said, and I thought about it because I was like, maybe, but I was like, no. But I do remember when I had a choice to go to college.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And this is 1992, so, you know, we're going through LA riots. There's still racism everywhere. We're just getting out the crack epidemic, especially where I lived and where I grew up. And I had a choice. And let me tell you about that choice that I made. I went to Columbia University, which was not the best choice for my football career, at least people were telling me that at the time. But it's funny, because only at that time they had 6 Ivy League players in the NFL. I think the number was 6, in and out, couple practice squads, 6. But they had 6 NFL owners. Think about that. Now, why am I saying that? It's because a lot of times I hear the overt racism, the racism of yesterday. And a lot of times we want to stand in the shoes of yesterday and say, that's why. But you can also stand on the shoulders of yesterday's soldiers and pioneers and say, I'm going to choose differently, whatever that may look like. Why do I bring that up? Because when you fast forward to a moment like this, you had input on who you were around and who those people were in terms of influence, whatever that may be for you and your world. But we're told, as I was told at the time, to make a different choice, to make a short-sighted choice, to go somewhere where it was all about my physical exertion and just football, and not about my mental acumen and aptitude. And I made a different choice that benefited me greatly. Now, when I look at these guys in this situation, It's about that relationship. It's about that circle. There's a circle of concern. There's a circle of influence that I don't think we go enough in depth with. And to turn it against our culture, it's funny. I look at a situation where you're in a room and you're the biggest and the baddest, and you're the smartest. And then you look at that network. And they always say a millionaire needs to hang around multimillionaires. And the multimillionaire needs to go find him a billionaire friend. And a billionaire friend needs to know Elon Musk. And Elon Musk needs to take his butt out of space and get to know somebody. But it's really the power of influence, big dog. And when we live in a world that suggests to us not to look at that in totality, I think it does us all a disservice.
The only last notion I have is this. We know that opportunity begets opportunity.
Yeah.
That's what we know.
Rich gets richer.
Rich gets richer. Opportunity begets opportunity. There were 2 black offensive coordinators in the NFL this past season. If you primarily become a head coach from being an offensive coordinator, then that needs to change before you can become that number needs to grow so that the head coaching number can grow as well.
Yeah.
But until we can find a way to change the way in which the NFL is currently operating, then black assistant coaches may win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But we're not very often going to see black head coaches winning Super Bowls, and the problem's going to continue to persist.
Yeah, man. In the world where there's a Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin, Marvin Lewis, Dennis Green, Jim Caldwell. Like, we've been here already, bruh. And it's just funny that some people will use this as energy to say, well, then why not? Well, you got to look a little deeper than the surface, because it makes me even laugh sometimes, I'm not going to lie, because I feel like the racist who can name his black friends. If I could name the black coaches, that's a problem in itself. Coming up at the top of the hour, the NBA says it's mandatory for teams to play the national anthem. We'll tell you if we have an issue with that. But first, Dak Prescott's future in Dallas is up in the air. We'll tell you if he should be satisfied with another franchise tag. And that's next on Speak for Yourself. Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Now, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has called Dak Prescott the Cowboys quarterback of the future. But according to Adam Schefter, the two sides are still not close to a long-term deal. Dak played under the franchise tag this past season, and Dallas has till March 9th to get a long-term deal done. Our own Troy Aikman said recently, quote, I'd be really surprised if he's playing under the franchise tag again this year. My guess is if he is, that will be the last we see of Dak Prescott. So, Marcellus, let's talk about the Cowboys star quarterback in Dak Prescott.
My guy.
Should he be satisfied with another franchise tag?
No, he shouldn't be satisfied with a franchise tag because that's not his end goal. He wants a long-term deal. Boy, let me preface everything by saying these are some high society problems we're about to go through right now. Should I sneeze at $37 million or should I wait for $200 million? Well, we know the answer to that. Let's wait for $200 million. But damn, this is a situation where Dak can't lose. It's lose. No, this is win-win when you talk about his prospects going forward. He deserves the long-term deal yesterday. We all know that. But the price just continues to go up. And for some reason, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones just don't see it that same way. But Danny White sees it that way, former Cowboy great. Troy Aikman sees it that way, former Cowboy great quarterback, who say that, Danny, when you look at Dak Prescott from beginning to end, the one thing that jumps out before you even get into his resume, before you even get into what he's done on the field and performance, is that his leadership is number one, is franchise quarterback worthy. So when you got a guy who has the intangibles, you need to quantify that. Because Tom Brady just showed the world right now that you don't need to be the best to be the best. And that's what Dak Prescott is. Look at Dak Prescott in terms of what the Cowboys have seen historically. He ranks #1 all time for the Cowboys rankings through 5 seasons. Quarterback wins, yep. Completion percentage, passing yards, passing touchdowns, passer rating. I could bore you with that. Dak Prescott versus other quarterbacks still fares well. Even last year in a compromised season, Dak Prescott has never had a losing season when he's healthy. You could just go on and on with the performance, but the thing that people need to quantify are the intangibles, his leadership ability, how he just inflates others, how he makes others feel like they could be greater than they were. That needs to be measured, and that needs to be rewarded. Yes, he's their franchise quarterback, and he shouldn't be satisfied until he gets a long-term franchise deal.
Yeah, Dak should absolutely just abhor and disdain the franchise tag. Like, you got to use them words. Like, he should just be repulsed by itself. Franchise tag, you get an average of the top 5 at your position. That's the best way to simplify it. You get the average money at the top 5 of your position. But if you're going to get the top 5 money at your position and you're Dak Prescott, let's look at the guaranteed money of the top 5 of the position. Mahomes, 141, guaranteed. Deshaun Watson, 110, guaranteed. Russell Wilson, 107, guaranteed. Aaron Rodgers, 98, guaranteed. Jared Goff, 110, guaranteed. But Dak, if you get tagged, that's only $37 million right here, right now, guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's not the move. The franchise tag, it actually serves no player better. Now, it might not hurt you. It might not hurt you.
I got a case for you.
But I don't know if it serves you better. Meaning this, Sal, if you gonna give me a franchise tag, that's 1 year guaranteed money. But wouldn't I rather get more years of guaranteed money? Now, I understand you might get tagged and then be able to play again, but let's talk experience, expertise.
Let's go.
I'm in Philly. No, obviously I ain't get tagged. I wasn't that good. But my locker neighbor, Jeremy Maclin, was the star at the time. First round pick for the Eagles back in maybe 2009, 2010. Mac balled 1 year. Oh, he balled. Maybe 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. He gets tagged. Ha, you're it. He gets tagged. He plays on the tag, but during training camp tears his ACL. So now the next year, he got to come back on a 1 year prove-it deal. There's a finite window of earning money in the National Football League. So did Jeremy Maclin still end up getting a $55 million deal delayed? Yes, he did. But the problem is, it was delayed. I'm not saying Dak Prescott might not still cash in on a big bag, even if he gets tagged. But that's just delaying that finite window of earning money by 1 more year. And Dak Prescott saw firsthand. I can get hurt. Health ain't guaranteed. So when you're looking at, if I'm Dak Prescott and I know I now can get hurt and I'm not invincible like I was my first 4 years in the league, nah, that tag ain't it, man.
Yeah, man. For every Jeremy Maclin story you have with the franchise.
Who you got?
I got the guy who's made the most money since he was franchise tagged. Kirk Cousins. Think about it. Is Kirk Cousins the best quarterback in the NFL? No.
Absolutely not.
Is he top 5? No. Is he top 10? No. If you like him, if he's your family. Point being, he's #1 in terms of what he's made since he was first franchise tagged. Now, Dak Prescott could play that game too. Kirk Cousins reminded Dak Prescott of this, he said, when he saw him in passing. Hey, that franchise tag could be your friend. Ching! Because it inflated who Kirk Cousins was to the market. Why? Because it's the scarcity of the market. When do you see top quarterbacks in free agency? How about never? So when you finally see one, you imagine Dak gets tagged one more time and he stays healthy. And then he's like, oh, y'all gonna tag me again? No, y'all not, because I think it's like 60-something million then after that. So agent, all those numbers you just said, he will dwarf those numbers. Like, he's gonna laugh at those numbers. He's like, I'm a free agent quarterback. You gotta think about the guys who have played under the franchise tag that got close to free agency. Drew Brees. Oh, did he get paid? Yes, he did. Kirk Cousins, I just talked about him. And now Dak Prescott. That's it, y'all. In history, that's it. The rest of these dudes don't even get that far to where Kirk Cousins went. Kirk Cousins got a fully guaranteed contract. And that's Kirk Cousins to Minnesota. So that's why I say this is not a situation where Dak can lose. It's just about the assurances, the guarantees, maybe some of the comfort and the less anxiety that can happen from a long-term deal. But if Dak stays healthy, and we said this last year, if he stays healthy, his price went up getting injured. So if he stays healthy, I'm saying it again, Dak Prescott can't lose in this scenario.
Yeah, the question I think then becomes, that's the big if. That's what Dak, what you have to weigh is that if, and how much is that if worth? You kind of can control your health as it pertains to soft tissue injuries. Some you can't necessarily avoid. But Dak, the Cowboys clearly view you as a top 5 quarterback. If they want to franchise you and pay you top 5 quarterback money, go ahead and find a way to get them top 5 quarterback guarantees.
Yeah.
Coming up, let's talk about another quarterback. That's Russell Wilson, because he sure is frustrated with getting sacked, and he's telling the world about it. And I'm going to tell you why he's not wrong for calling out his offensive line. I'm giving up them sacks.
Black History Month is a perfect time to reflect on all of our Black heroes. And first, I want to highlight Rosa Parks. Growing up, I always enjoyed learning about U.S. history, specifically the Civil Rights Movement. I remember at a young age not being able to comprehend how Rosa Parks was treated for simply sitting in the front of a bus and refusing to give up her seat to a white man. I love this quote from her. "You must never be fearful when what you're doing is right." I also want to share how much I looked up to Oprah Winfrey and Serena Williams as a young girl and still do today. After school, watching Oprah with my mom was such a highlight. Seeing a strong and powerful woman working in an industry I aspired to work in impacted me in many ways. She inspired me that women, regardless of the color of their skin, could excel at whatever they set out to do. And growing up as an athlete, I saw Serena Williams as the most dominant athlete in the world. Unstoppable. Watching her today continue her success and now also doing it as a mother is about as inspiring as it gets.
Welcome back. Russell Wilson has been sacked nearly 400 times in his 9-year career, and he's getting tired of it, you think? Wilson said earlier this week, quote, "I'm frustrated at getting hit too much." Russ appeared to be calling out his O-line, which caught the attention of Hall of Fame offensive lineman and former Seahawk Walter Jones, who said, quote, "You should leave that in-house. Once you call those guys out, you're probably like, really? So Acho, is Russell Wilson wrong for calling out the offensive line?"
No, sir. I do not mind calling someone out if it's the truth.
Oh.
Right? Like the two things are not mutually exclusive. You can call someone out and you can tell the truth. That's all Russell Wilson's doing. Dude has been sacked more than 40 times the last 8 years. He only been in the league for 9. Now, Russ takes some of that blame. You be holding on to the ball too long. You are. That's what lets you cook, but you're holding on to the ball too long. Russell Wilson has to take some of that. But I get it, Sal, because y'all have to realize when y'all read these headlines, try to find a real story. Russell Wilson's done with his guaranteed money after next year. No more guaranteed money after next year. So there's no more prevention from injury. If you get injured next year, Russ, ain't no guarantees on that contract. So what does that mean? What did Russell Wilson do this year, Sal? He looked around and saw Dak Prescott got hurt. He got hurt. He looked around and saw Jimmy G. He got hurt. Russell Wilson looked around and saw all these different quarterbacks getting hurt, and he's like, I ain't got no more guaranteed money on my contract. I need to start making more noise about what's going on for either one or two reasons. One, let's fix the O-line play. Protect me from getting hit as much. I know I have some burden to bear as well, but protect me from getting hit as much. Or two, let me get some more bread on that deal, at least some more guaranteed bread on that deal. I seen Deshaun get paid. Lord, I seen what you did for Mahomes. I seen what you're doing for others. Do it for me again. So I don't have an issue with Russ calling out the O-line because what he's speaking is true. Where you at, Sal?
You already know I got a problem with this, man. What the hell is wrong with you, Russell Wilson? The problem, look, does Russell Wilson know what I know about football, which is the best offensive lineman is a decisive quarterback? Oh, so you're not decisive. You just told on yourself, Russell Wilson, and tried to blame or displace the aggression towards the offensive line. Those 394 sacks all on the O-line, Russell Wilson? No, they're not. You want to know why? Because I ain't hear you, Russ, complaining 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when you had a worse offensive line. 30th, 32nd, 30th. 2015 to 2017, I should have been hearing this, Russ. Oh, but you was already paid. You good, you ain't tripping. As you said, why make noise? Right now, he just sounds noisy and not saying anything. Because the last 3 years, 2 of those years, his offensive line has been 20th or better. Oh, last time that I checked, that means you don't have the worst offensive line. But maybe they have a quarterback that is the worst at making decisions. Oh, did I say that?
Don't say that, Mark.
Oh, listen
he
to
didn't
this.
mean that. He didn't mean that.
I meant all of that. I'm going to tell you why. Listen to this explanation that sums up a lot of short-sighted people. And I hate to say it, but Russell Wilson, you sound short-sighted right now. They want the rewards in life without the risk that it takes to get those same rewards. It's called opportunity cost, big dog. Russ needs to understand that because everyone pays it, including you, Russell Wilson. As I say right here, one of the reasons Wilson takes a lot of sacks is that he tries to extend plays. You brought that up, right? And he holds on to the ball too long. And we saw Patrick Mahomes do that as well in the Super Bowl. When you are off script, not only are you compromising the offensive line, because think about it, what does the offensive line do? Block, looking what? In front of them. And if you're not where you're supposed to be, or you're not there when you're supposed to be, then that's a part of your problem, not our problem. But you're going to put the blame on us. Okay, that's fine. Listen to this. When Russell Wilson running around in circles, hoping for a touchdown. Quote, I so many of those times turn those busted plays into touchdowns. That's a quote. Flip that quote on his head, Acho. What does that also mean? That sometimes when I don't throw a touchdown, I'm going to get sacked because I'm off script and out of the wrong. Listen to Walter Jones on this one. If you got a problem, especially when you are part of the blame, why don't you just keep it in-house so that no one else will cook you in the media? Russ. We got to bring in Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. So, Bucky, is Russell Wilson wrong for calling out the offensive line?
Man, Russell Wilson is tripping. Russell Wilson, this reminds me of an old movie, The Five Heartbeats, right? And so what has happened, Russell Wilson has flashed at the Five Heartbeats where they have given him the opportunity to be the lead singer of the group after Eddie Kane Jr., a.k.a. Marshawn Lynch, left. And so Flash now thinks it's him that has the group propped up. But the Seattle Seahawks have always operated better when it was less of Russ and more of the rest of the team. But what has happened, because we view quarterbacks the way that we view them, Russ has become the franchise quarterback. Russ has gotten all the money. Russ gets all the accolades. He wants all the responsibility. But then when it goes bad, Russ doesn't want any of the blame.
Boom.
And so for so long in the Pacific Northwest, it's been about let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. He's an elite quarterback. Let him do what he do. Okay, so they decided to let Russ do what he did this year. He threw it all over the yard. And for the first half of the season, it looked great. And then when people caught on and Russ was throwing it all over the yard, Pete said, you know what we're going to do? Russ, we're not going to have you cook. We're going to order some takeout. And we're going to run the football because it gives us the best chance to win. And so what Russ has to make a decision on is, what does Russ want his legacy to be? Does he want it to be about him and his ability to go out there and put up numbers? Or is it about the Seahawks and the best way for them to win? Because the best way for them to win is when they use the running game and lean on the defense, and it's less of Russ. But it seems like Russ is being a little me-ish, and he wants it all to be about him. And that is a losing recipe for the Seattle Seahawks.
We got to be fair. Bucky, can we be fair? Marcellus, can we be fair? We all agree that Russell Wilson's a top 3 quarterback, at least a top 5 quarterback.
That means he's 3 or 5.
Yeah, he can be 3 or 5.
You ain't top 3 and you ain't.
We can sing that in unison.
Okay.
But I remember it was a Thursday night game, if I'm not mistaken. It was prime time. Tom Brady comes off the field berating his offensive line. He's cussing them. He's dog cussing them because they had a holding penalty, a false start penalty. They ruined the drive. We came on this show the next day. I know for certain Marcellus was here. Bucky, I don't know if I had grown so fond of you yet, so you may not have been here. But I know Marcellus for certain was here, and Bucky, Marcellus told me this. He said, Tom Brady has earned that right to berate his offensive line for making their mistakes. Mind you, in that same game, Tom Brady forgot what down it is, but we gave Tom Brady a pass because he had earned the right. Now, if we are saying Russell Wilson is a top 5 quarterback, even if he's 5 or he's 3, whatever y'all want to make him, we know he's good. If he's, I think, the winningest quarterback or second winningest quarterback in the NFL since he came into the league, then I think Russell Wilson has earned the right to speak his truth. I think Russell Wilson has earned the right to say, hey, protect me. I'm the franchise guy. We can win games without a D lineman. We can win games without an O lineman. We can't win no games without me, Russell Wilson. So I understand where Russ is coming from. And Bucky, I don't think he's tripping. He understands his value. He needs to make sure you do as well.
Bucky, don't fall for that banana in the tailpipe right there. Let's check the medium in which Tom Brady expressed that, the form. Oh, the emotional content of that moment. He was on a football field, and it's up to us as lip readers to try to figure out what the hell he's talking about. But Russell Wilson's sitting there in that mansion on a Zoom call talking about, oh, you know what? It's the offensive line. Russell, why would you call them out for us to now try to divvy up and really make responsible the offensive line when there are percentages of blame to go to you as well? Oh, I know why, Russell Wilson. Because when things are going well, it's about you. But when things are going wrong, it's about them. And that's not proper leadership. And I like Russell Wilson, but in this moment, he has failed. Let's talk about a guy who defends running around because he throws touchdowns, but doesn't want to be responsible when he takes sacks in that same moment that he's running around, as Bucky said. So I'm going to end my lap with a story. Here's a story that I heard from some San Diego Chargers linemen about one Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf's story, especially in the beginning. Oh, y'all can't block up front. And the offensive lineman's like, we can't block. You can't play quarterback. He's like, nah, it's on y'all. Y'all don't even give me time and protection. We can't block. And you know what the offensive line said one day? Okay, we can't block. And this is a true story. They let that boy get hit for real. Like, they were like, underlay, whoa, all right, whoa, Toro, and just back. Can we block now? Okay, so I don't want this situation to turn ugly, but Walter Jones did shoot out that warning shot. And let me remind y'all, Walter Jones, in my experience, is the best offensive lineman ever to put on cleats. That dude was different. Ran a 4.6 at 300, never got a sack on him, never even came close. This dude was next level. So when Walter Jones speaks, it's not only from performance, but it's also from leadership.
You know, it's funny, Acho, because I think you really hit the point of what all of this is that we've seen the last couple of days with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's guaranteed money is up. When guys start chirping, it is always about the money. Russell Wilson's deal can come up in a couple of years, or the Seahawks can move on from Russell Wilson at the end of 2021 without significant cap consequences. So now he's chirping because what makes everybody okay? A new contract, more money, more guarantees. And oh, and behold, I get the Russell Wilson that says, go Hawks at the end of every interview. This is Russell Wilson really revealing who he is. Russell Wilson has increasingly become more about himself than about the team. And Acho, you talked about how that respect, and they should respect him and the teammates should know. Well, here's the thing. Everyone who's been around Seattle, this is what they know. When Seattle has been at their best, it was about their running game. When they went to those 2 Super Bowls, Russell Wilson was the game manager, not the playmaker. Shortly after that Super Bowl, which he threw the interception to Malcolm Butler, that cost him that one, they have not been to the championship game since. So the more they've given Russ, the worse the team has done.
Are you saying Russell Wilson is a diva? I heard some diva.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, he is. He is showing his full colors right now. This is a diva move. And I'm just glad now that he's owning it so we can see it and call him for what he is. He has actually come out and let us know that he is a diva. And I think what those conversations you heard in the past from the defense, I think they're now coming to fruition. When you gave Russell Wilson the team before he earned the right to have the team, you created a monster. Now you got to deal with that, Frankenstein.
The money turned him to a monster?
And this ain't the first time, big dog, because when he got his last contract, there was some chirping going on before about brand building in bigger markets and maybe New York, all that kind of stuff. Russell Wilson is running the game. He's running a scam, man. He's trying to create the noise and hysteria so you can show the appreciation. Russ, we see you. You're a baller. You don't need to do all this. It's going to hurt you when it matters most. Coming up, the NBA says all of their teams must play the national anthem. We'll tell you if we have an issue with this. Next, speak for yourself. Did I say anthem? Okay, now I did. National anthem. Welcome back. The NBA released a statement yesterday stating, quote, all teams will play the national anthem in keeping with long-standing league policy. This news came after the Mavericks did not play the anthem for 13 of their preseason and regular season home games before playing it last night. After the NBA statement, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban said, quote, our hope is that going forward, people will take the same passion they have for this issue and apply the same amount of energy to listen to those who feel differently from them. So, Acho, do you have an issue with the NBA forcing teams to play the national anthem?
I absolutely do, big dog. Let's make some things clear from the get-go. Sports are entertainment-based.
Okay.
What sports are. And if sports are entertainment, then we should see uniformity across entertainment. But I know this much. We don't play the national anthem before this show. I know this much. You don't play the national anthem before you watch a movie. I know this much. You don't play the national anthem before a comedy show or a concert. So why is it unnecessary? Why is it imperative to play the national anthem before an interdomestic match? It doesn't make sense to me. Playing the national anthem at the Olympics, when you're standing on the podium representing your country on an international level, I understand that. Remember, the national anthem was first adopted by the military, so I understand the original adoption of the national anthem on a broad international perspective, representing your nation to other nations. But to mandate it within sports, so it doesn't make sense to me. But I try to break things down in manners that other people cannot digest. I try to move into parallels. So if you all can with me, move into this parallel. Marcellus Wiley, when I was growing up, we used to say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Miss Dula, who say?
But as I got older, it said, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They removed the under God part out. Now, I did not say, I'm going to have to choose between God and this classroom. I didn't say that. So why do we say, I'm going to have to choose between my country and my sports team? We don't say that. Just because we removed under God from the anthem, because it made some people uncomfortable who don't believe in God, people like me who try to be God-fearing don't decide, nope, it's either God or this school. No, when I say the Pledge of Allegiance, I still say under God, because that's me.
Yeah.
So if you were at a sporting event or before you watch this show or go to a movie or go to a concert, if you still want to sing the national anthem, you do you, boo-boo. I'm not mad at it, but I think it is both unempathetic, I think it's both slightly ignorant, and I think it is non-conscious to make it imperative that everyone sing the national anthem or make it imperative that the national anthem be played before a sporting event, particularly on a domestic level.
Strong take. Made me think about my take, made me think about how did we get here? I don't think that they're wrong for making them play the national anthem, but how did we get here? Now, Mark Cuban says, listening to the community, which to me sounds like cover. It sounds like, because if you listen to the community in its entirety, there are going to be people who say, play the anthem, and there's going to be people who say, don't play the anthem. So you're being selective in who you're listening to in that same community. Nothing wrong with that. You own your team, but you don't own the league. That's the problem. So you ran into a barrier. We all got bosses, I guess. Even though Mark Cuban is an owner, he still has to listen to what Adam Silver says. In this situation, it's interesting also how we got here is because Mark Cuban kept the American flag up so that people could respect it and honor it in any way that they wanted to. But he stopped playing the anthem. What happened to let me respect it and honor it the way I want to? That means I want to not stand for it if I'm a fan, if I'm someone in the stadium arena at that time. Or I do want to honor it. Now, there's a rule that tells the players that they have to stand for the anthem. But Adam Silver is not enforcing that same rule. Once again, selective in how they want to discipline and enforce things. It's a lot of contradictions right here I just wanted to point out for everyone. Another contradiction is for someone who has the energy like, man, they shouldn't force them to play the anthem. I'm going to sit there and say, one, if your energy is for an anthem, it's not exactly for action, because an anthem is not going to change your world, whether it's played or not. Let me tell you, in my climb to whoever I am, to whoever y'all think I am, I never got caught up in the gesturing of what professional athletes was doing before their contest, because it didn't have an impact on my life, but for some people it does. And if it does, I'm here to tell you how this is going to end for you. This is not the course that you need to follow with your energy in terms of changing your world and your life. I digress. They've had this anthem on mute for 13 games. Where was the outcry then? Not only did they have it not played for 13 games, Adam Silver was consulted and said whatever he said because they didn't play it for 13 games. But then it became a headline. And all of a sudden, now we got an issue with it. Did y'all catch the wink in that situation right there? Adam Silver also didn't enforce the standing for the same anthem that they weren't playing. I guess he will now because it's a headline. I want to push back, and I also want to dive into what you said, how sports is entertainment-based. It is, but that's not its foundational principle. Its foundational principle is actually to unite, to create the one of few meritocracies we have in this world. We're black and white and young and old, and background doesn't matter. You put them all in a huddle. You put them all on the track. You put them all on the court and say, may the best man or woman win. And I don't think that that's being properly served by hiding behind an anthem issue. I don't think our country is divided, brother. I think our country is different. I don't think that we're sitting there on two sides of the ledger and saying, I'm there. I think that we don't have the familiarity, and we
Can you be both?
Can you be both?
Because I would agree and add to that. I would say that you are correct, but you are inconclusive. Meaning, like, can you be divided and different?
Can you be divided and different?
Correct.
Well, I think it's a connotation more so than, I hate when I have to generalize about the specific. It's just like, look, this is why I am like, whatever, y'all. Because it's this simple. If you ask a surgeon to perform surgery, he has to be specific. He can't be general. You can't just say it hurts here and he's just going to perform surgery anywhere. We have real issues in the community, but y'all want a general antidote. They want something like just take away anthem. Bro, I've been broke through anthems. I've been broke with no anthems. It's not going to connect unless you make it connect. But trying to use this as your journey to connection, to me, is a falsehood.
So it's not that by head knowledge, I don't understand where you are. It's really that by heart knowledge, I disagree.
Okay.
Why do I say that? I say that because, to me, anthem don't really mean nothing. I got dual citizenship, American, Nigeria. My parents came from Nigeria to America in the late 70s. Your boy got a green passport, I got a blue passport. But the empathetic aspect of Emmanuel Acho says this. If the anthem is causing pain to someone, if the anthem is causing pain to a group of people, then why are you playing it? Because I don't care enough for you to play it.
I like that.
If it's causing pain to somebody, then I would just say don't do it. Marcella says, you look up the history of the Star-Spangled Banner, a verse that has now been omitted, and I'm sure you've heard this over the course of your time. The third verse of the Star-Spangled Banner, remember the Star-Spangled Banner written by someone who owned slaves, Francis Scott Key. What's that third verse read? No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph don't wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. So if you had to omit a whole portion, a stanza of the anthem talking about slavery, if you had to omit a portion of the anthem, an anthem was written by an individual who owned slaves, I just have enough empathy to say, hey, if there are some people, predominantly black people, who feel uncomfortable with the anthem being played or who don't want to stand for the anthem, it's not that I care that much, but I care enough about the people who care to say, hey, I'm good. If I still want to pledge allegiance, bet. Marcellus, my dad is a pastor. Trust me, I would rather say one nation under God.
Yeah.
But if saying under God is going to make somebody uncomfortable, then I'm going to just say under God under my breath. Or I'm going to still say under God.
Yeah.
Because there's freedom and y'all ain't finna send me to jail either way. And so, like, that's just what it is for me. Have enough empathy to care about somebody else that do you.
I respect that fully. I'm glad you pulled on my heartstrings because I can't map that onto reality because you got to understand, if we apply empathy universally, where are we going? Because everybody feels a different way. Your empathy for someone who doesn't like the anthem. Then you're still being empathetic, someone who does like the anthem. Now what are you going to do, Emmanuel Acho, other than sound like you care for all, but you really only care for a few? Sound like Mark Cuban in this situation. I listened to the community, but you only listen to the community that said don't play it. There's a large part of that community to the point where he's now under fire with some of the state legislators, et cetera, who have come out in criticism against him. But that's just the way that this goes. I understand that. But look, I'm going to tell the same Mark Cuban who didn't play the anthem for 13 games, was kind of hiding under the radar until it got exposed. The same Mark Cuban who kept the flag up that some people oppose as well. Man, you know what? My tax dollars, I really don't think that they're helping me and my community. I don't feel like paying those right now. You know what? I just don't feel like that it's going to serve me properly. Here's the thing with empathy. It can't umbrella all issues. It just can't, because there are going to be people who disagree in these situations. But let me get to my point, which is really how this has all been heightened in awareness as the pandemic has turned into the pandermic. It's like, whoa, pandemic is now a pandermic. If people have issues in their life, I want them to address the issues in their life. The powers that be, people who have real influence and control of power, please listen to those people and please give them the proper medicine that is specific to that situation. Enough with the empty gestures. Like, they already removed the third verse because you're not playing that third verse, right? Nowhere. Have you ever went anywhere and heard the third verse? I know I haven't. That's like the French Montana version. Like, you ain't playing his verse. You're playing Lil Wayne and Jay, right? Anyway, so you're not hearing that version. Now people say, take it all away. That's fine. But this is the problem, and I speak for people. I speak for my people. My people are broke people, impoverished people, people starting at the bottom. Guess what? We're still there. So I don't understand why the energy gets translated and transferred to these conversations when the end game is not going to change the reality. That's my only issue when I hear the empathy that is supposed to be for all, but is really for some.
But don't you have to fight every battle where you see it fit? Meaning like injustice anywhere, threat to justice everywhere.
I like.
Right? Don't you have to say, okay, the national anthem ain't necessarily putting money in broke people's pockets. The national anthem isn't necessarily helping people in America ascend, but if it is unjust to some for a plethora of reasons, and if you all do not know the reasons, please research them.
Please, I'm with you there.
If it is unjust to some for a plethora of reasons, albeit the person who wrote it was a slave owner, albeit the original parts of the song is referencing slavery, if it's unjust to some, don't you have to kind of nip that in the bud there, nip that in the bud here? Because,
but it's just to some. You say unjust to some, it's just to some.
Let's draw a parallel, because I love drawing parallels and moving things. If there was an anthem which was written by someone who contributed to the Holocaust, if there was an anthem which omitted a portion of it which referenced in any capacity the Holocaust, I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, we should play that anthem. I'm just not going to do that.
I'm not either.
And so the parallel is very simple. Let's step outside of our own shoes. I'm going to step outside of mine. Let's not make this about slaves and free. But if there is an anthem that it was in any way, shape, or form tied to things that hurt a group of people throughout some period of history, we're not necessarily going to reference that. Marcellus, we have shows and we have musical artists that have at least been canceled because they were tied to negative things. Now, I know you haven't necessarily canceled said artist, but what I'm not going to do is play the artist's song at the wedding of somebody who was negatively inflicted. You feel me?
I do feel you.
If you're going to play it in your privacy, play it in your privacy. But I'm not going to sit here and bump a R. Kelly song, if you will, if somebody who had a negative experience, because I'm empathetic enough to care about that individual.
I respect that. You know, I bring levity. I always got a joke in there. So, you know, your wedding going to be whacker than mine, because if you don't play Step in the Name of the Love, if you don't play Step in the Name of Love, your wedding whack. Let the prison system handle R. Kelly in that venue and let us party on this dance floor. I joke. It's funny that Mark Cuban was even flipping in his response. You know what he did last night in the game? Played a recorded instrumental version of it, which, hey, may be the happy medium, because some people are fighting for it to be played, some people are not. And I am sitting there like, whatever we need to do to make this a better situation, I'm for that. But I'm not for pandering. I'm not for, oh, we're fixing this issue. Because you're not fixing the problem. Address the illness, not the symptoms. Look, this is an ancillary issue to a deep problem. The ancillary issue instead of the deeper problem. In this country, a lot of people say it hasn't lived up to its highest ideals. And then they sit there thinking that they're absolved of any responsibility, when this country is nothing but made up of individuals like you and me and y'all. And if this country is not doing its part, get in the mirror, big dog, because it's on us.
Let me ask you, because you went somewhere. I don't even know if we got time, but I'm going there anyway.
I like it.
Don't you got to address both? Meaning, if you get sick and the side effects of your sickness might be hair loss or might be X, Y, and Z, yes, I want to fix the primary illness, right? Like, I want to fix that. That's the primary thing. I want to live.
I know where you're going.
But I also want to be comfortable in my lifestyle.
And your process
and if comfort is having hair as well for an individual, then, like, yes, I want to live. But that's a bare minimum living. Can I also be comfortable in my life? So is the national anthem, in my opinion, life or death? No. Is it ancillary? I agree with you. But is it too much to ask to not only thrive in this country as a people group, but also be comfortable?
Hey, I'm with you there. Survive, then thrive. Oh, just be thankful, y'all. We alive. Coming up, Dak Prescott's contract is getting all the attention in Dallas. We'll tell you if the Cowboys should franchise tag him next. You got me shook over here. Speak for yourself. Oh, I don't know what to do. Should I stand up for that?
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Dak Prescott played under the franchise tag last year. Now the big question, will it happen again? Dak's salary would jump from $31 million to nearly $38 million if he's tagged again. Dallas has till March 9th to get a long-term deal done. But Adam Schefter recently reported that the two sides are not close to a deal right now. Bucky Brooks is back with us. That's the NFL analyst. But Marcellus, you up first.
No.
Should the Cowboys, okay, Bucky, you can go first.
Yeah. I'm still.
Should the Cowboys franchise tag Dak again?
You know, it's funny because I am a huge Dak Prescott supporter, but I'm going to do this from a business standpoint. The Dallas Cowboys should sign him to a franchise tag because next year is Super Bowl or bust for the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason why they should go with the franchise tag on Dak Prescott is because now it puts everybody on notice. Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Jalen Smith, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, everybody, the way their cap is constructed, they can absolutely blow this team up after next year. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't re-sign Dak Prescott or any of those things, but what it does is it makes it very, very clean for them to move on if this team underachieves again. And so even though I believe Dak should have got his money years ago, I think the smart play for the Cowboys right now is to do another one-year deal and see where they are at the end of this deal to see how they need to construct this team going out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Purely business, the Cowboys got a franchise tag Dak. You're coming off an injury first and foremost, so are you going to be that same guy? If you are that same guy, you got one playoff win to your name. If you are that same guy, the team was on pace to go 4-12 with you as the starting quarterback. Now, it's not your fault. I'm not going to sit here and blame it on you, Dak. I'm just telling you the numbers and the facts as they exist in truth. If you are who the Cowboys think you are, what exactly are you? And that's the question. But I think the bigger question lies when you look at the course of NFL history. Marcellus, quarterbacks that stay at one organization, they've usually won by year 6 if they're going to win. Dak Prescott flirting with year 6. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, it's almost like, hey, if Dak is going to win, it's usually happened by now. Think about it. Tom Brady, he obviously got his in his first season. Roethlisberger's second season. Russell Wilson, second season. Mahomes, second season. Wentz, kind of, sort of, second season. Aaron Rodgers, third season. Even Jared Goff went in his third season. Eli Manning in his fourth season got it done. Cam Newton, Joe Flacco, both in their fifth season. The only outlier is Matt Ryan for a quarterback at the same franchise to get it done. So if you're the Cowboys, you're looking at Dak like, wait a second. Dak, if you're going to get it done, you probably either would have gotten it done by now or will get it done right now. Go ahead and franchise Dak Prescott. If you're the Cowboys, franchise tag him and see what happens.
Wow, I didn't expect this opposition here, but let's talk this one. Only if you can't sign him to a long-term deal, because that needs to be the priority, do you franchise tag him. But I'm really saying don't even franchise tag him. Give him his dough. He deserves it. He earned it. Woo! Who will Dak Prescott be? Will he be the same guy? I don't know. Darren Sproles had the same injury. Did he return to be the same guy? No, he didn't. He actually returned to be better than he was before the injury. You tell me how Dak Prescott's going to respond to this injury. Is he going to be the same guy? I ask you, who is that guy? Is that guy Deshaun Watson? Who's better, Dak Prescott or Deshaun Watson? Most people will say Deshaun Watson, except if you really dive into some numbers, you start to realize that maybe you need to second guess that answer. Deshaun Watson is the second highest paid player in the NFL. And if there is a level of reservation, a level of thought that makes you say Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott in terms of resumes, then why in the hell you sitting there pausing on Dak Prescott? Interesting here. Jerry Jones must love to burn money. I know he did when he signed me because he gave that money away. But what the hell are you waiting on? The price just keeps going up. Troy Aikman has sent out the warning shots. And it's just almost like Jerry is saving his money. And then what he wants is there for him. And it's Black Friday. You can buy it on the low. compared to what you're going to pay later. And Jerry's like, nah, I just want to wait full retail. Let's just do it when it's the most expensive. That makes no sense. Dak Prescott, if he has to go franchise tag once again, do you understand what the free agency market is going to do to that price? And if Dallas has any hopes, any desires of signing Dak Prescott to a long-term deal, then why not do it now? It just doesn't make sense, y'all.
You know, look, here's the thing. And once again, I've said, I believe Dak Prescott should have got his money a couple years ago. It would have been a better economic deal for the Cowboys, but they slow played it. They waited. Now they are where they are. But this is what it's also given them. It's given them time to have some perspective, because in that same draft class that Dak Prescott was in, we saw the LA Rams give big money to Jared Goff. We saw the Philadelphia Eagles give big money to Carson Wentz. Both of those organizations had buyer's remorse. The Rams got rid of Jared Goff, and we're hearing that maybe Carson Wentz. You have Jerry Jones taking a timeout. He wants to reset. He wants to see how this is going to play out with Dak Prescott, because what he doesn't want to do is hang an albatross around the franchise's neck that prevents them from being at a level where they can compete for championships, because they don't have the money to get the rest of the pieces of the puzzle together. It's unfortunate for Dak Prescott because he's earned his money, but from a business standpoint, it might be the smarter play for the Cowboys to kind of slow walk this one to see what Dak Prescott does in 2021.
And to your point, Bucky Brooks, it's a matter of the Cowboys did gain a new perspective by waiting with Dak. You could be mad at him for not getting him earlier on the cheap, but those two quarterbacks who were drafted the same class, Carson Wentz, his team went to a Super Bowl. The Eagles won a Super Bowl. The Rams, they went to a Super Bowl. They lost, but they still went there. Then there's the Cowboys. They didn't even cash in on theirs. So I understand Wentz severely overpaid based on his play right now. Jared Goff severely overpaid based on his pay right now. Dak hasn't been paid based on his play right now. But if you're the Cowboys, those other dudes have already gotten theirs. Now you're looking at Dak Prescott like, man, if we were going to get ours with you, was it your rookie season when we went 13-3? Has that ship already set sail?
No, it's not set sail. Man, do y'all understand what Dak Prescott was doing last year with this offense versus all the other quarterbacks with this offense? Obviously smoking them in every major statistical category. But we're talking about Dak Prescott also has done so much in leadership for this organization. You saw how a little air was let out of this team, out of this organization when Dak Prescott was injured versus when he's going to return to this lineup. All I'm saying is, look, I'm not taking shots at anybody, but if I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes, who has one Super Bowl ring, and he's making the most, and then I look at Deshaun Watson, who has one playoff victory, and then I'm looking at Russell Wilson, who has lost 4 of his last 5 playoff games, but he still has his one ring. Roethlisberger, come on, man, we're going ancient times. I'm talking about the guys who make the most money. You got to start thinking present, future tense in this situation. And if you're thinking forward, you're thinking about Dak Prescott, but pay him partying. But when we come back, we'll tell you if we're confident they can repeat next season. That's next. Speak for yourself. Welcome back. The Bucs celebrated their Super Bowl win yesterday by partying on boats. Tom Brady even threw the Lombardi Trophy to another boat. Now, what about next season? Brady will be 44 years old when the season starts, but General Manager Jason Light still said, quote, "We're going to bleep and win this thing again next year." Bruce Arians echoed the same thought. Listen.
I cannot take credit for any of your hustle. All right? We have the best coaching staff in the NFL. Players in the NFL. Anybody that says running back, all right, that's Kansas City. We're going for 2.
I'll tell you, confident in the Bucs repeat next season? Streaking! Suckers was out there getting it.
So I'm not confident, but it's possible. And it's very simple why I'm not confident. I think there are way too many. One, it's hard to repeat. Last time we saw a team repeat was Tom Brady 03-04. So that's the first thing.
Who was the name you said?
Tom Brady.
Oh.
It was Tom Brady.
That guy that was right there?
Yes, but it was also 17 years ago.
Really?
So it's hard to do.
Oh,
but then beyond that, too many great head coaching quarterback combinations in the NFC. That's really what I look at. I look at Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay. That's 1. I look at Kyle Shanahan and whoever ends up being his quarterback. That's 2. I look at if Drew Brees comes back and Sean Payton. That's 3. I look at Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. That's 4. I just look at too many Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur 5, too many quarterback coach combinations that are too talented to just have the Buccaneers waltz in and repeat. But the other real thing is this. They already counting up their rings.
No, I ain't like that.
That's what you hated about the
hate
Chiefs.
that part.
That's the same thing you hated about the Chiefs.
I know.
You start counting your dollars before they're in your pocket.
Yeah.
You can never make that mistake. We going for 2. We coming back? Chill out.
Yeah.
Like if we know anything about Bill Belichick, we know this.
What?
He never got too high. Maybe he got too low, but he never got too high. He was just steady Eddie and consistently winning like that. Maybe it works for Bruce Arians. Maybe. But, you can't count your money before it's in your wallet.
Okay, this is different. So I believe that they can go back and repeat. I believe, excuse me, what did he say? This ain't running back. What did he say? We going for 2. He tried to trademark that. You ain't Pat Riley trying to get a T-shirt money. But I believe that this team could go back and win it all. This is different than the Chiefs situation. I'm going to tell you why. This is their pep rally, their celebration moment of a championship. I've never won a championship at the NFL level, but I've been to a lot of pep rallies where I lied to everybody, or at least I was in the highest esteem possible, saying whatever I wanted to say. So pep rally and podium talk is exempt from this conversation, right? Talk your poo-poo, boo-boo. You can do whatever the hell you want to do because you earned it. Now, if they have another interview going forward and they still out there counting some money that they ain't got, then we got a problem. But Tom Brady, you said it was 17 years ago since he went back-to-back. Brady's teams, after winning the Super Bowl, they always show up again. 3 of the last 4 times that he's done that, they were at least in the conference championship. And Brady was improving the second half of the season versus the first half of the season. Who's to say that wasn't even the best Tom Brady in the Super Bowl? Because he was continuing to get better and better. Certainly that defense was. So I'm looking at the path in front of him. You keep bringing up these NFC teams. Tell me this. Kyle Shanahan, you believe in him? He's a losing coach outside of Jimmy G as his starting quarterback. He better keep Jimmy G. How about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers? I love you guys. 13-3. But you're also 7-8 in the playoffs since your Super Bowl win. What about the Matthew Stafford that has never won a playoff game in his life? What are he going to do? What about the Saints? They don't even know who their quarterback is. It's Jameis Winston. Last time I checked, he threw 30 interceptions. What about the Seahawks that are 1-4 in their last 5 playoff games and the offense crumbled in the second half of the season? Chow. Who's in their way except them and maybe a little of their arrogance?
I got to give you something that's going to sober you up and put a little more somberness on your mood. Still, there's a greater likelihood that the Super Bowl team misses the playoffs the following year than repeats.
Facts.
And that's not my opinion, not your opinion, like you said. It's facts. Can Tom Brady do it again? Absolutely. But it's going to be a lot harder this time around. Coming up, quarterback Russell Wilson, he has some things to get up off his chest. We'll tell you if the Seahawks should be concerned with his frustration. That's next.
I want him to win. Drunk Tom Brady.
Welcome back. Russell Wilson has been getting hit a lot last season, and he spent this week venting about it. Wilson has been sacked nearly 400 times in his 9-year career, and he said earlier this week, quote, frustrated at getting hit too much. Now, Dan Patrick says he was told Seahawks management is not happy Russ took his frustration out to the media and added, quote, this current situation is not sustainable. So, Marcellus, should the Seahawks be concerned with Russell Wilson's frustration?
Nope, not at all. Russell Wilson, man, he must have been hit a lot because now he over there crying. I don't like it here. Where you going to go? Everywhere you go, Russell Wilson. There you are. Russell Wilson wants to leave the most talented team in the NFL. At least by the Pro Bowl selections, they are the most talented team in the NFL. He wants to leave 2 1,000-plus yard receivers who both had 10-plus touchdowns. Russell Wilson, where you going to go that's better than this, big dog? I can't believe that I'm saying this about Russell Wilson, who I think has the highest character in the league, along with a Deshaun Watson, that level of character. Not taking responsibility for his own actions. Dude, the path of least resistance leads you right back to your problems because you tried to escape them. And this is what's happening. You brought it up before, but let me expound on it. Because Russell Wilson knows his guaranteed money is up, everyone's thinking in money terms. When you're thinking in money terms, you usually got people around you who are thinking in money terms. Notice that a lot of these quotes says Russell Wilson and his camp. Soon as you start getting a camp around, when I start reading about this show, Emmanuel Acho and his camp, I know we in trouble.
I didn't have a camp when I showed up, though.
But I know you got one now. You got one now. And I know we're on ball time right now. It's about to go to end. But my point is this. When you're around people who are thinking with a higher degree of money interest, they start telling you things like, man, you shouldn't even have to deal with this. Man, they ain't even valuing you properly. Oh, you need to go over here. And all of a sudden, you start looking at situations like the grass is greener. Please tell me where Russell Wilson's going to go, and it's going to be better than where he is right now. Fix your problems. Water your lawn instead of going somewhere begging that it's greener.
Marcellus, this is about to be a huge issue. I'm going to give you a bar. And I'm going to give y'all a bar. Get your notepads out. Get the note section of your phone
Get my drink out.
I'm about to give you a bar. My homeboy, The Truth, he said this.
What?
It wasn't all of a sudden. It was subtle. What ended up as a flood started out as a puddle.
That's fresh. I hope you don't use that to win this argument, but that was dope.
It was subtle. What ended up as a flood started out as a puddle. Right now, it's a puddle, big dog. Like, not a big deal. Venting small frustrations, minute, small frustrations. But remember, Carson Wentz, it was just a little puddle. Small frustrations. Now, Howie Roseman, general manager, can't get a text back from Carson Wentz. Deshaun Watson, small frustrations, end of the season. Man, I'm sorry we wasted this season, J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson. I'd like to have a conversation with the next general manager who you hire. Small frustrations. Now Deshaun Watson ain't trying to go near Houston. It wasn't all of a sudden with different quarterbacks. It was subtle. Y'all have to understand a flood is coming. If y'all don't put out this little puddle, if y'all don't address this little situation with Russ, a flood is coming. You saw it with Deshaun. You've seen it with Wentz. You've seen it with other quarterbacks. Please nip this in the bud right here, right now, because eventually it'll end up eroding the whole thing. So I'll give it to you like this.
I like.
Story form, I end my last lap, my first lap, whatever lap this is. Remember, I go to Nigeria medical mission trips. We go to Nigeria and we go to the rural villages of Nigeria. Like, we there with just huts and grass and clay. Like, we not in, like, bougie Nigeria. And Marcellus, I go there one time and I see this, like, 50-year-old man and his whole arm was, like, eroded. Like it was like white and like red and it had it terribly bandaged up. I'm thinking he got in a terrible motorcycle accident. I'm thinking he got stabbed or something atrocious happened. I run up to him, I say, what happened? Told me it was a spider bite.
Damn.
Spider bite never got treated.
Damn.
Got infected. Next thing you know, his entire arm is eroded. I give that to you in story form because if a spider bite gets treated, it ain't no big deal. My brother got bit by a spider. Next thing you know, he throwing a shot, puts on the school record a week later. But if you don't treat something small, if you don't handle it while it's still minute, you better watch out. The thing can erode an entire organization.
Man, how am I going to respond after you said that? USA to Africa. What the hell am I supposed to do right now? Hey, right here, some bloods puts me out the swing, 9 stitches. What it do, boy? I have nothing to say to that. But, Russell, you're going to stay frustrated. That means you're going to stay in Seattle and just be frustrated with whatever issues you have. If Aaron Rodgers ain't going to get his way out of Green Bay, you ain't getting your way out of Seattle. It's just that simple. You know what's lost in our generation?
Talk to me, Phil.
This old mantra that I remember hearing so poetically over the times, if it is to be, it is up to me. Remember the days when you had a problem and you would look at the solution and you would look inward. But now everyone looks outward. Oh, that situation looks better. Hopping along, that's why the divorce rate's so damn high. Oh, she looks cuter. Oh, she looks nicer. Oh, I'm going to go there. Instagram. Oh, date nap.
Off that Explore page, y'all.
Oh, do not hit search on my Instagram. Oh, it's not good. You know what I'm saying? No? Okay, let me get out of this. Coming up, Tom Brady had a great time yesterday. There's a lot of the same people that pop up. But Uncle Jimmy would tell us how Bill Belichick felt. I ain't talking to you now, Acho. Oh, now you committed. Next, think for yourself. Every day. Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. Tom Brady had a lot of fun on the boat yesterday, you think? But I hear you have some thoughts on Bill Belichick. Take it away, Unc.
No, man, I ain't got no thoughts on Bill Belichick.
You don't?
Hey, man, please tell me that I didn't see what I thought I saw.
What you see?
Please tell me that Tom Brady didn't just have a Super Bowl celebration with on a boat with a bunch of white dudes, and they was all playing hacky sack with the Lombardi Trophy during Black History Month. See, this is the very reason that don't nobody like that man that they call Tom Shady. Hey, let me be very clear about what I'm saying. Let me just put it to you like this here. Listen to me, Tom Brady. Hating you is easy cause you're arrogant. And wishing bad things on you is all I seem to do. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Hit it on.
Da 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 da. I wish I knew some voodoo. Cause I do some too. There's no one else that can enrage
Why are you
the
encouraging this?
colors
Don't
like
encourage this anymore. Hate. Fox Bet Live is next. Go have a drink like Brady did yesterday.